Welcome to the Onstage Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Robert. Sorry. Are we on? We on? Just joking there. So how is everyone today on the Sunday podcast? It is now 11 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. We have a special guest here. Her name is Nathalie Matthys, and she's you wouldn't believe this, pianist. Oh, wow. I saw her play, actually, in one of the videos, and I was like, look, everyone, look, we got to get her on. So we've been working this out, and Nathalie Matthys is here today, and I'm so happy. And so in the meantime, and we were talking for the last 5 minutes, trying to get things cleared up and everything. And she's fun. She's actually fun to have on. So let's bring her on, and let's get this all working here. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathalie Matthys. Hi, Nathalie.
Hi. It's so good to be here. Yeah, good. It's very sunny, so as you can see. So I'm going to try and move with the shade.
Yeah, you're not the same time zone as we, right?
No. Here it's 5 p.m. I'm at the European time zone. I'm in Vienna right now. So it's a beautiful day, actually, because yesterday it was snowing, it was gray, it was really cold. And now it's still rather chilly, but the sun is out and brings life in the apartment. It's very, very nice. Yes.
I love chili. I actually have my mother's recipe. I make that all the time. But you know what Billy Joel says in one of his songs? He goes, Vienna waits for you.
Yes, indeed. It's true that, and I mean, he was only right to write a song about Vienna. It's great. If you ever have the opportunity, I highly, highly recommend it. It's a beautiful city.
How far is that from Denmark, and how far is that from Austria?
Oh gosh, you're talking to a musician, not a geographer. I would have to look that up.
I'm a doctor, not a geographer.
Yeah, that is, oh my God. And geography is like one of my worst subjects ever. But, well, I know that Austria is right next to Germany. It's right next to Switzerland. Let's see, from Denmark, you want to see Copenhagen maybe? Let's see what Google Maps
I might not be able to cope with the Hagen, but yeah, sure.
Wow. I'm going to have to get ready for some really dry humor, aren't I?
Yeah.
So let's see, Vienna to Copenhagen would be about a 13-hour car drive.
Oh my goodness, 13 hours.
Yeah, which is still not as bad as going from Bloomington to New Orleans in the US, which we once did, which is really great, by the way. But yeah, I don't think cruising in Europe is as fun as in the US.
Well, here in Canada, we have a little town. Actually, it's kind of stupid because here in Ontario, if you want to go to places Ontario like Sault Ste. Marie, for instance, it's an 8-hour drive. To Wawa is another hour or so. If you want to end up if you want to drive all the way down to, there's a little mining town. It's called Warden, Ontario, and it's a 19-hour drive from here.
Okay. Yeah, that's not.
I know what you're talking about.
Not little. Yeah. Then again, it's I like driving, I really do, but if I can avoid having to drive through Germany, I will. They are notorious for all their Baustelles, so all the work that has been going on the highways. And in Germany, it's free. You can drive as fast as you want. It can be pretty scary sometimes. Some guy just gets right behind you at 180 kilometers an hour, and you're like, oh God. It's pretty substantial. So I'd rather take a train or chill.
Well, we're related because I got a little bit of German in me, so there you go.
Okay. Well, I'm brushing up on my German.
Wie geht es Ihnen heute?
Ziemlich gut. Es ist
gut. Es geht mir gut, danke. Oh.
Ja, wir hatten einen Kaffee mit unserer Deutschlehrer heute. Es war
gut.
Ja,
Wo wohnen Sie?
Wie bitte?
Wohnen Sie?
he lives here too in Vienna. We went, I think, about 15 to 20 minute walk from here.
Excellent. I've been using that Rosetta Stone. I'm half Dutch because my dad was born in Curacao, so I'm learning Dutch, and
my God, so we can just speak my mother tongue.
well, we can talk about your mother's tongue anytime. Just kidding.
Wow. I don't think she would appreciate that very much.
No, I know, dry humor. But yeah, and my mother was Hungarian, and I tried learning Hungarian, and it's such a tough language. That and Polish. So
Yes,
tough.
and there's nothing to attach from any other language. It's
No.
very. But you want to know a really fun? How do you say that? A fun fact. The other day we met a Hungarian pianist, an awesome
Oh wow.
man. He was a bar pianist for a long time, but has also been a how do you say that, like a co-repetitor. So he's working with a lot of singers, musical repertoire, operettes, and all that stuff. Reads from the page, can do all these crazy things, make medleys out of the blue, plays by ear. Yeah, amazing pianist. And we were invited at his home the other day, and he is, as a Hungarian, and he told this little fun fact that apparently Mr. Bell, who initiated the phone, the first times that he was trying it out with one of his engineers, who was a Hungarian guy, he picked up the phone and he said something in Hungarian that was very much like "hallo." It was a little sentence that involved "hallo." I don't know the exact Hungarian words.
I know we know a few. There's Igen, which means yes. There's Nem, which is no, and then there's Chokolom, which I believe means hello, how are you, or something. Chokolom, and then
and apparently, so because it was the first connection, it wasn't super clear, so he thought he was saying hello, and that's why hello has become like a normal greeting in so many languages. So,
well, I know in German, hello and hello mean the same thing, like hello.
Yeah. Hello, wie geht's?
But
It's
I'm
the same in
brushing.
Dutch.
I'm trying to learn German because I have a few German friends, and when I learn it fluently, I can call you up and say, "Hey, Natalie, guess what?" And then start conversing to you in German while you. Can you not talk to me? I'm playing right now.
Oh, it's okay. I can do German. French will be a bit harder, although it will come back.
Yeah, I gotta have like 2 or 3 more languages behind me. I know that Pope John Paul II, he spoke, I think, 8 languages. You
Yeah.
imagine learning more than 2 languages?
Well, yes, because Belgium
awesome.
has 3 languages.
Well, yesterday with our pianist, with our violinist, I had to only mention the first names of violinists, and she knew them like boom, boom, boom. So I have a list of all names of all the famous pianists, and I want to know.
Oh dear God, I'm
if
going to
you
be
can just-
tested.
So-
No, I didn't sign up for that.
Okay, so we're going to start asking you some. My cat wants my coffee. We're going to start. How are you? So before we begin, can you give everyone a background of who you are?
Sure. So my name is Nathalie Matthys, if you want to say it in Dutch. I'm Belgian.
Nathalie
And
Matthys. What is it?
Matthys.
Matthys?
Matthys. Yeah,
Nathalie Matthys?
you nailed it. You nailed it.
Nice.
So I am Belgian. I'm now 27 years old, and I am a pianist and also a singer. I am classically trained in piano, and I'm a jazz pop singer next to that. I live in Vienna right now. I have studied in Belgium and in the US. I was there for 1 year on a Fulbright at the Indiana University Jacobs School of Music. That was, in 2019, 2020, so right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I'm a classical pianist. I have a duo with my partner. He is a clarinetist. We are having our first concert here in Austria this Saturday, so we're looking forward a lot. And next to playing piano and singing, I have my own private studio. I teach here in Vienna. I teach online. I'm also affiliated in a school here, in an international school. And I do lots of things. I produce bi-weekly vlogs on my YouTube channel. I try to make it more and more interesting, not only for the audience, but also for me. I'm trying to grow as much as I can. And like one of the main things that always scares me is sight reading. So I'm trying to push myself towards sight reading more. And then I'm one of those crazy people who puts it online. So if you want to check that out, by all means, you can do so on my YouTube channel. And other than that, trying to learn as much as we can. So I build my own website and all that stuff. And keep busy. That's what we do.
Yeah, I was actually I was watching you play that piano sonata. The way you move, it's like wow. Your hands just go like.
The Eynden piano sonata.
Yeah, it's like
the
really.
Yeah, that's already an older video, but it's always fun to play classical sonatas. It's
that's amazing.
In a way, very to me, if I see a concert from like an amazing pianist and they play classical sonatas, then I'm not generally the one who would go and buy a ticket, because listening to those sonatas, I mean, it's great music, but I don't enjoy it as much as playing it myself. I would rather go listen to a program that has like more romantic modernist music program. So maybe, I don't know if that's a heresy to say as a classical pianist, but it's really fun to play those classical sonatas for sure.
Yeah. It's so I can't pronounce that.
Kortrijk. Yes.
Kortrijk. Yes.
Kortrijk. Oh my God, you're nailing it so well.
I was in Holland so many years ago with my parents, and we went to visit my grandmother in The Hague, and then we went to Amsterdam. My father was born in Curaçao, and then we drove down to Eindhoven, Belgium.
Okay. Yes.
And from there, we drove to Paris, France. So we were there for like 2 weeks. So it was fun. But I know that you have Utrecht, you have Amstelveen, you have Zeeland, you have all these other places in Holland. Yes. Kortrijk is just another one of those towns which I need to learn, because maybe next year, Lord willing, whatever, my father turns 100. Well, he would have turned 100. So I'm thinking of wanting to go to Holland to commemorate his 100th birthday and just go around to The Hague, go to Curaçao, move around The Hague to Belgium. We didn't go to Brussels, though. I never went to Brussels. I don't know what that's like.
It's a nice city to check out. Also, I mean, one of our most famous cities, I think, is Bruges. That's a little Venice of the north. So if you're into boats and little canals and very old middle-age buildings that are still very colorful, then that's really a spot to check out. It's really nice.
That sounds like really good. Can you tell us about the United States? You study with a professor, Emil Naumov.
Yes.
About that, and
yes,
Sachel Basandani and Darman Meter. Tell us about them.
Yes. So I did a Fulbright there. Basically, it was a 1-year study. Even though I enrolled in a master's program, I was only there for 1 year, and that gives you two options. Either you just are very good and you only take the courses that are affiliated in a master's program, or you go crazy and you just go there for 1 year and are like, okay, these are the 365 days that I have, and I'm just going to do everything that I can possibly do. So that's what I did. And I got super lucky that I could double major in the Jacob School. So I did 1 semester classical piano and then jazz history and jazz theory. So I kind of combined classical music for piano and then the jazz for singing. And in the second term, I could have actual lessons with the jazz vocal professors. And at that time, it was Darman Meter and Sachel Vasandani. And it was so great to have 2 professors for 1 subject, because Darman Meter was like really into technique, into how to prepare for scats, how to actually study that. He has an amazing technique book that I have somewhere here. I can maybe try and find it in a little pile of scores that I have here, if you give me some time. And then Sachel Vasandani, on the other hand, he was really about how to make a nice tone, how to synchronize your breath, with, the things that you need to sing and all that stuff. And they were actually the first people who got me into writing my own songs, because that was always a really scary thing, I would say. Not because not because songs scare me per se, but more because my dad is a composer, and I always felt like I don't know enough about it, or it will never be exactly as I want, blah blah blah. All those reasons you tell yourself for no reason. And one of their assignments was you write a song, and the only the only extra line in that assignment was it cannot be in 4/4. There you go. And I was like, oh dear God, it's happening. I need to do it right now. So they gave me the push that I needed. And so I haven't written a whole bunch of songs, but I have written 1, 2, 3, 4 now. And only one of them is online. I should really make more work out of that. But anyway, it was a really, really fun experience. And then Emil Naumov, who was my classical piano teacher, he is amazing. If you are a classical pianist and you are looking for a teacher, look no further. If you want a professor who is truly invested in you, who knows so much, not only about music, but he really incorporates everything about composers and the things that they've written, and he puts it in the time where they lived. He knows who knew who at what time, the whole social environment. He knows everything, and he was actually the last student of Nadia Boulanger. She was a very, very famous professor at the Conservatoire in Paris. She taught so many fabulous composers, also Leonard Bernstein, George Gershwin, Igor Stravinsky. They all passed by her. And then Emil, I have tremendous respect for him. He was exactly who I was looking for, and I was very lucky to be admitted to his class, and so I'm very, very grateful for that year.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Natalie. Many of these, like Emil Lomov and Sakho Vazendani, they're not Dutch. I don't think those are Dutch names.
No, they're not. Emil is Bulgarian, and Sasho, he is American, but his mother came from, oh my God, I would have to look that up actually. Well, I only know that he had a single mother. But yeah, she was definitely an immigrant, and they had it pretty rough in the beginning. And then Sasha double majored also in something like super technical and then music. And now I think, in the way he sings a lot of it, he kind of tributes to his mother because she did so many things for him. But Emil is Bulgarian, and then his parents went to France, which is how he got in contact with Nadia Boulanger, and so on and so on and so on.
Wow. What did you take away from these experiences? What did you take away with it?
Oh, that's a very broad question. I think that obviously in terms of music, so much, because you never stop learning. It's just for pianists, there's so much repertoire, you cannot do it in a lifetime. So there's always new things to learn. Same with jazz. I mean, I never did singing really in a university. I always sang, and I have a diploma from the music school I went to. But then in the US, to really be able to focus on it, that was fabulous and a really tremendous experience. But maybe the most important thing is just the experience of being abroad and being so far from home. It's a very good mirror for yourself. You get to know yourself very well. You also, in a way, learn to make the most out of the time that you have. And it really gets you out of your comfort zone, and it's astonishing what you can accomplish if you are willing to take the step to get out of your comfort zone, I would say. And that's also something that I've been trying to remind myself of to this day, even though it's 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now, since I started in the US. I mean, also the road to it was not easy. It took me 2 years to get there, and in those 2 years, you learn so much. And I won't say it was always fun. There were definitely really big downs, because also studying in the US costs so much money, and you need to be able to raise it in one way or another, or get these scholarships that are also not easy to get. Blah blah blah. It's a whole process. But I think one of the most important things is getting out of your comfort zone and just get to know so many people. And if there is something that you want to do and it requires you to go abroad, then by all means, don't just think it's not for you, or don't think that if a door slams in your face that you cannot make it. That's really not true. I had plenty of doors slam in my face before
Wow.
I got there, and all those doors probably had to close before I could actually have an experience like this. That really profoundly changed me. So I think that, yeah, maybe it's not as music related as you thought, but I think that's really the most important thing. Just getting out of your comfort zone and getting to know yourself really well, and seeing that not everything needs to be in a certain way, or it doesn't have to be like you thought it was, or you can really change a lot if you just put the work in it.
You have two talents. I saw you can sing, and
Yeah,
that's
I'm not.
you can play the piano, and you could probably sing and play the piano. You know any other instruments?
No, but I actually started playing violin when I first started, because my mom is a violinist, and I have two older sisters, and one of my sisters also plays violin, or played. She actually became a jazz singer. She's a professional jazz singer as well. But so yeah, my mom plays the violin, and my grandmother also played the violin. So lots of violin options, and being the youngest kid and seeing an older sister do that, I was like, oh, I want to do that too. And then my mom was happy to teach me the beginnings, but then she very gently pushed me towards the piano, because my father is a pianist and composer, and my grandfather is a pianist. And yeah, I had no objection, because it's such a fun instrument. You can do so much on the piano. It's really it's an orchestra in one instrument, basically, and you can spend a lifetime studying the repertoire, studying how to make color, studying the technique, and changing along the way. And yeah, I have no regrets whatsoever, and I'm very happy that I got here. Music got me here, which is just great.
Yeah. There's a really nice song that you sing with, I think, "Where Do You Start?" Is that your dad playing the piano?
Yeah, that's my dad, indeed. And funnily enough, that little intro that he does there is based on an intro that Toots Thielemans plays. I don't know if you know him, but he's like one of Belgium's most famous jazz musicians of all time. Worked with Quincy Jones and with, I mean, like these people that would make any jazz musician drool if they would be able to meet them. And so normally this year, Toots would have become 100 years old. He unfortunately died a couple of years ago. But now in Belgium, they're doing like a Toots 100, a whole festival basically. And that's this month in April. And yeah, so that little "Where Do You Start" is kind of a small tribute to Toots. And it's such a beautiful song. I don't know if you are familiar with the recording by Shirley Horn, but if you ever need a moment of zen, and you just put yourself in your couch with a glass of wine and just lay back and put that on, and that's a good time.
Well, it's funny because my favorite J.S. Bach one is "Prelude and Fugue" in 8/4/7 by Glenn Gould, because I have
Yes.
Spotify. And so I typed in YouTube Bach Prelude and Fugue BWV 8/4/7 in C minor. I know all these things because I actually I fell in love with classical music.
Sorry
That was
about that. Yeah, There's an ambulance outside.
Oh, our ambulances don't sound like that. Wow. Yeah, and so I did a search and I found all these pianists that played that, and then I saw Nathalie Matthys. Is that how you pronounce it again? Nathalie Matthys?
Matthys.
Matthys?
Matthys, yes.
And I was watching it, and I'm like, wow, who is that girl? And I said, I gotta have her on the podcast. And
it's so great that you
play
invited
it
me.
very well.
It's really
Yeah,
fun.
believe it. And then I saw you sing "Where Do You Start," and then I saw you with your family, Mark, your dad, Mark, and Vanessa. I guess is your sister, Summer
Yes.
Song. That was a
Yes.
good one too.
Yeah, that's a song that my dad composed, and then
Yeah.
that was very fun because that's our living room where we filmed that, and that year, I think that was 2017 probably. No, it was before that. It's a rather old video already, and because I had just come back from a tour in Austria and Germany, and I had arrived, and it was that recording that afternoon, that evening, and 2 days later I had to play my classical piano exam, my bachelor recital, as in the second year of bachelor, not the concluding year of bachelor, but my second year of bachelor. And it was a crazy time because these were all different programs, and then my head was everywhere except where it needed to be. But it's still, yeah, it was a fun song, fun to record.
Lovely song, "Winter Dance" by Joseph Lamel on the clarinet and A.C. Gilman. "Amour en Paz." Once
Yeah.
Beautiful, yes. Beautiful. I almost watched every one of your videos, and
oh my God, that's so amazing! Thank you so much for doing that.
I wanted to research you, and then now that we're talking, at least I'm a little bit knowledgeable. But it's interesting how to say your name, Nathalie Matthys. Yes. Now I know.
And I just on YouTube on my vlogs, I just say I'm Nathalie because I don't want to make it too complicated. But yeah.
What are these? When you win a prize, what are they? What are, like, you won a prize at competitions including Belfius Classics, Concours?
Yeah.
What are these?
Yeah, exactly.
What are prizes?
So those are music competitions that I did as a kid and as a teenager. You have that basically anywhere in the world where you have young talents competitions for classical music mostly. I also did a couple that were for more broad genres, like Music Live was one of those, and then I won a video clip. But usually a prize is either a money prize. It's not, since it's a young talent kind of thing, it's not a huge amount of money, but of course, that's why I never really did a student job, in education, because I did competitions and I usually got at least a little bit of money out of it so I could support myself. So those competitions were basically, I did them until 2015. So then I was 21. That's kind of when I decided that I didn't get as much joy anymore out of competitions. But as a kid, I really loved it because you have a very solid goal to work towards. And it's a great way to see where are you at, just with the other people that you don't know but that are in the same country and that are doing the same thing, that are interested in the same thing. What are they doing? What are you doing? How does it kind of add up? And you get to know so many lovely people. And I know that a lot of times competitions, they have this feeling of, oh, it's all against one another and it's competitive, but it really doesn't have to be that way. And I think I got very lucky with the competitions that I did, that always the people that I encountered, those participants, they were always actually really fun to talk with. And with some of them, I really have connections still today. So that's very fun. Yeah. And sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's like you're very engrossed in your playing. First you go, then you prelude and you go, like you're very engrossed. Once you're a piano player, it's like you become part of the piano. I thought you were going to disappear inside there or something.
And that's also something, yeah, it changes over time, right? So if I see that video now, that was I recorded that in my actual bachelor year, so that was 2015. Yes. Or maybe, the year was 2014 to 2015. With the intention to apply for an Erasmus, which is, you can go 1 year abroad to a school that is affiliated with your school. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. I wanted to go to Paris, but there was like an administrative failure, and that's why I couldn't go, which that really messed me up. But then I was like, if I can't go to Paris, I'll just go to the US. So, a couple of years later, I did that. But if I see those videos now, that's also, I think, in a way, it's the good thing about recording, and it's also kind of the curse of recording, because you constantly evolve. And as you grow, not only in music, also your body changes, the way your body needs, or the way you need to play in order for your body to feel good and to feel supported, that also changes. And if I see that video now, I mean, I'm not as as much towards my piano as I was then. I've changed the way I played, but that doesn't mean that at that time, that what I was playing was inferior in any way. It was just, how I played then. And it's in a way really fun to see the evolution since then. And I have no clue why there are so many views. I think I just got really lucky with the YouTube algorithm. And it really boosted that video for some reason, and here we are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It got you to get to know me, and great things can come out of that.
So if I mention a few of these piano sonatas, which you know how to play, so one of them is piano. Oh, this, I think I better just play it.
Yes, the Bach,
You know that one?
Prelude, yes.
How about this one? Oh, you know that one, sorry.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, I haven't played that one.
It's a beautiful one, eh?
Yeah.
Do you know how to play this one?
Yes, I do. Beethoven Sonata.
Okay, but do you know how to play this one?
Oh, I also never played that one, but yeah, I mean, it's
I always figured, because that one and this one are almost practically have the same sort of power to them.
Yeah, in a way. Of course, yeah, Bach as opposed to Beethoven, it's quite a bit of time in between them. But that's also so fun and interesting to see. Is I don't know. I never really made that connection as a student, but you have all these composers nowadays who are influenced by the composers before them. Fast forward 100 years, we'll be talking about how composer X is being influenced by composer Y, and it's the same with like Bach and Beethoven and any composer. I mean, Mozart, Haydn, Schubert, they all kind of knew one another, and they were like, oh my God, the Grand Master. And now years later, we are like, oh, those Grand Masters. It's kind of fun to see. And of course, yeah, they were influenced by
Yeah, like
music.
I can imagine you playing this one.
Yeah. Oh, it's very, yeah, in the beginning very full, and then the lightheadedness
Or this one.
treading. Yeah, the Chopin.
It's Beethoven.
Oh, okay.
Now
it
you
sounded
had
a bit like a Chopin, but
now you're gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I was waiting for you.
You're gonna find this funny, but I can determine Mozart and a Beethoven, and I can determine a Chopin and Prokofiev. It's just the way it's played, and also over the years I've been familiar with a Prokofiev and a Beethoven, and when I hear the song, I'm like, is that a Beethoven or is that a Mozart? And that's definitely Mozart, because I know a few good Mozart tunes. One of them would be this one.
couldn't go more classic than that.
Okay, so let's. I don't want to put you. Well, we can play Name That Tune at some point. So why did you launch your Patreon? Like, where is there a reason for that? Is it because of the pandemic? Is that because you couldn't perform during that time?
In a way, it's also again a reason to push myself out of my comfort zone, and also as a self-employed musician, it's not easy nowadays, especially with the pandemic. But even before that, it's never easy to support yourself. And Patreon is one of those platforms that can actually make it happen. If you provide really valuable content to patrons, and it's what I've been trying to do. Of course, it's a beginning stadium, and that's usually the hardest. But I'm very lucky with my patron so far. She's absolutely great. She's been with me from the beginning, basically, and I hope she continues to be there for a long time. And so what I'm trying to do for my patron is basically make sure that there's exclusive content, but also some content, on YouTube that I'm trying to get some people towards the patron. And then also give people access to the songs that I write, but also maybe have them or give them a spot in my music studio and stuff like that. Basically everything that I know that I can offer, I try to offer people, and hopefully they feel enriched enough by the content that I give them so that they can support me. And in that way, it's a very grateful, I'm super grateful for anyone who considers, because they enable me to let me do what I love. And that's such a privilege, and I don't take that lightly in any way.
Yeah, you teach a lot of people online. Can you tell me, well, you teach piano and the vocal lessons. Can
Yes.
you tell me from the NMusician studio?
Yeah.
The laptop's going to shake because my cat's right here, like doing her fleas thing, and it kind of shakes. Like,
Oh, it's okay. Cats are great.
So what are the youngest and the oldest, vocal and piano?
My youngest student is 4 years old. I teach her
Vocal or
in
piano?
Piano,
Oh wow!
and that's it's a challenge also for me, but in a way also very fun, because 4-year-old kids, they have such fast imagination, and it's really great because usually with older students, the hard part is to get them to improvise, or to get them away from the score. And with these youngsters, they let them improvise. They're the happiest creatures on earth, and they can they can what's the English verb? Imagine, I guess, but or invent any character that they want, and make a whole story out of it just with the notes that they play, and it's really, really fun. But definitely a challenge also for me as a teacher, even though I've been teaching for 10 years. A 4-year-old, that's my first one, and so it's a bumpy road, but it's a very fun bumpy road. And then the oldest student that I have right now is I think around 61, and also a piano student. And then vocal students, I have a 12-year-old and a 22-year-old, I think 23 maybe. So it's a very, very broad range, and it's really it's very fun to be able to work with people one-on-one and help them along the way. And as a musician, you're not only teaching them music, but you're also really teaching them awareness about your body, how it functions, how it works, especially with singing. It's such a very personal thing, but also with playing piano, it's yes, you have the technique, but whenever you play music, that's something that comes from inside you. So you have a big responsibility to make them feel safe enough to perform for you and to let you help them. And that's a very interesting dynamic, and I always really enjoy seeing them grow, and also I learn a lot from my students, basically, because they challenge me to help them solve problems, and that often leads to me being able to solve problems that I have encountered. So it's very fun.
Wow. What is the first tune that you teach the young pianists to play? Marietta?
Oh,
Or-
it really depends. Like for the very young ones, I just kind of contact their teachers and ask what they do in class, because you know what they know from hearing, that is usually the easiest way to go to. And then I have a couple of books, like a couple of methods that I fall back on, and you know then they learn how to read notes. And I mean, of course, it takes a while when they're so young, but that's totally fine. They have time. And then it also really depends on how this particular student is. Because I said music is something so personal, and it's the same when they play music. Not everyone feels a connection with a certain composer or a certain song. So I also feel like definitely in the beginning, you don't have to push them already for it. Of course, you do have to teach them the real basics, and you know, having journey etudes in there, having working your way up all the way to the Chopin etudes. That's just how it's done. It's a proven method, so of course you're going to do that. But in the very beginning, I try to understand what it is that they are interested in, and then kind of guide them towards the basics of classical music and or jazz pop music. Like for my one jazz pop student, we're doing Disney songs, but then also, of course, I'm getting or letting her know some blues, some actual jazz standards, some musical repertoire, and it broadens her perspective, and that's one of
But
the
these
things to do
students
as a
last
teacher.
throughout the years, or do they just get like a year? Like how does it work?
Oh no, they. I mean, if they want to continue their lessons, then I continue to be their teacher. And for the studio, you can basically come as long as you want. You can be my student for 25 years if you want to. That's
That's interesting.
perfect. But yeah, my studio doesn't have it's not affiliated with the school program, so you don't get I mean, I can make a certificate if you want to, but that's not going to be um, accepted as an actual certificate would be from a high school. That's not really how the private studio works. But yeah, it's just if you want to have lessons and you're interested in them, then I'm very happy to tailor lessons toward your needs, and that's what I do.
I've seen a 4-year-old play a Mozart on the violin. I've seen a 4-year-old play a
Yeah.
Mozart on the piano. I've seen a 4-year-old sing. No, sorry, she was 8 years old. Her name was Amirla Willekagen, and she sang Nessun Dorma. She was 9 years old. Does that impress you?
Well, these kids are mighty talented, and yeah, of course, it's impressive to see. And I mean, I can only I wish them the very best, but I think it's a very hard balance to find also as a parent, because okay, you discover this massive talent in your kid, and then the question arises, like, are you gonna push them for it and risk maybe their mental health in a way, or it also just depends so much on the kid. Some really thrive on the stage, some totally collapse basically. Ooh, I find that a very hard thing. But I mean, if the kids seem to be having fun in it, and are having a good time, then yeah, that's awesome. That's really
Well,
great.
when I was telling you about the jazz Bach one that you were playing, where you were just like this, one of them that was in the list was these two brothers. One of them
Yeah, Houston
was
Brothers.
8 years old, and the other one
Ah,
was like
okay.
17. And what they were doing, they were playing the same thing. So he would play one part of it, and he would play another, and they're dressed in these tuxes. And then he would get up, walk around his brother, and sit here, and he would sit here. And they can, and I'm like just going, oh my goodness, if Natalie could see this one,
Yeah, this is it's loads and loads and loads of practice, but also
Loads of
talent,
talent, yeah.
and yeah, just being able to hear what the other one is doing. I think that's one of the hardest aspects of music, right? Is to be able, because you're doing so much at the same time, but oftentimes then you lose the most important aspect, which is it's about sound. So it needs to sound good, and you need to be able to assess what you're hearing and kind of make it work with what you're doing. And some kids just have such talent, and then it's of course fabulous to work with them and to help them grow. And others, are not as talented, and then it can be very challenging, but that's also still very interesting, because that's when you really learn to solve many problems. And it really also is a great thing as a teacher to be able to help people of all levels. It's very nice.
Isn't it because maybe they can pick it up more easily? Because then you have the 90 and 100-year-olds who are pianists, and you see them still playing. And a lot of, I think one was they all the Alzheimer's, but they knew how to play the piano still because the music was still. I'm just sitting there, I'm mesmerized, thinking, like, I wanted to pick up the violin and start playing, and I'm like, can I be a 100-year-old violin player or a 100-year-old pianist? And I'm thinking it's easier to play the piano, but then you're thinking of the arthritis, and then the violin, as you're thinking about, you're just not even moving your hands, you're just going like this. And music is always in your soul, so I would not doubt that when you get into your time when you're a little elderly, whatever, you still be able to play piano like that. You'd be going like,
well, that's the dream, right? To be able to play as long as you want. I mean, also my grandfather, he played until the very last.
That's awesome.
Bit, just because it's such a part of you. You spend hours and hours and hours and hours perfecting your craft, but not only, it's not only about playing well. It's also real, as you say, it's such a vast part of you. It's the way you express yourself, and it's the way you connect with people. That's in my opinion, the main goal as a musician. You try to make a connection with people that you basically don't know, and then as an instrumentalist, you don't even open your mouth. You're basically just making sound, and one way or another, you make this connection. And I think that's the most beautiful thing on earth.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, it's okay. If then someone comes to you after your performance and then tells you like, oh, you made me forget that I was in this hall, or anything, that is like mission accomplished.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to check out one of my podcasts, there's a gentleman by the name of Stephen Jenkins. He invented this thing called control-shift piano. What it is are templates, and you give a template. Let's say someone wants to learn your Bach tune that you did with. You'll do a template, and all you do is you put the template on the piano, and it teaches you how to play that. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I was mentioning to him about things like the third movement of Moonlight Sonata. Can you do a template of that one, whatever? He was kind of like, I could. He says if it gets more difficult, he spends more time on it. But some of them, like Mary Had a Little Lamb and stuff for the younger folks, they say, I want to learn a Bach tune. He'll just give the template, put it on the piano, and with it, colors and letters, you can start playing. And I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
could someone benefit with that? Could someone benefit when you students?
Yes, but I also think it's very important to know that really mastering your instrument, it just takes a whole lot of time and a whole lot of practice, showing up for it and discipline. And your body needs to get familiar with the movements that you need to make. And it really takes a lifetime, because as I said before, your body changes. The more you get older, it needs other things. You might, notice that you're like this all day, and then you notice that it, makes it worse to play somehow, and so you need to fix it and stuff like that. I think all these tools that exist nowadays, you also have Simply Piano and all that stuff. In a way, it's an easy step up to get to know how to play piano or basically any instrument. But you still need to put in the work, and if you really want to master your instrument, you need technique, and you need to put in the hours, because your body needs to get time to really incorporate and implement these things. And that's just don't lose that out of sight. That's the only thing that I would say, because nowadays we all want to be able to do things like in a snap. And with music, it just doesn't work like that. Forget it. It's not gonna work.
No, but in older days, you had the piano rolls. You just load the roll and it just plays
Yeah,
the piano by itself.
yeah, exactly. And it's. I mean, we will always continue to invent these things, and that's also so marvelous about humans and our capacity to invent all these crazy. I mean, everything that we see and that's around us was thought and then invented by someone, and it made our lives so much easier, which is amazing. But some things cannot be replaced, and one of those things is just the amount of practice or the amount of showing up that you do for something.
Like you have GarageBand and all these other
Hmm.
musical software. You can literally create entire orchestra,
Yeah.
and you don't even have to know an instrument.
No.
But you can take the violin sound, you can take the piano sound, the horn sound, whatever, and create this whole orchestra, compose your own music. But doesn't necessarily mean that because you learn how to make the orchestra happen with the piano and the violin, and doesn't necessarily mean you can pick up a violin and play it. It means
No.
the
Absolutely.
piano.
Yeah.
But you just press a button on the iPad and it plays your composition. It's incredible.
Yeah, and that's the thing that many orchestras and musicians face nowadays is like you get the big fear is that you get replaced by all these things.
Oh yeah.
But then again, I don't think we can ever truly be, because otherwise I mean it would have already happened. There wouldn't be any musicians anymore. But there are still musicians because people search for that connection. You want to, if you go to a concert or someone, you want to see this performer on stage because you like the way they are, you like the way they play, but you also like kind of their energy, and you want to just have a connection with these people. You like the music, and that's something that a program will never be able to do. But a program will be able to save you a whole lot of money if you want to make your first orchestral score and you want it to be recorded. Well, if you have GarageBand, then it's going to make it a whole lot easier than having to hire an entire orchestra.
Technology is crazy. Like
Yeah.
even when ABBA came back, they actually did a concert using just using avatars of themselves playing their old music. And I don't know if 100 years from now someone um, wants to see like Aerosmith playing concert using those avatars, and or the Rolling Stones. Like
Yeah.
Mick Jagger might have already been gone 50 years, but there he is playing with his band, and Charlie Watts on the drums. It's just getting ridiculous because I prefer going to an orchestra and just watching the conductor do his thing and the violinist and the piano and just enjoy that. I like to see it real. I don't want you to give me an iPad and press a button and say, look what composition I did. Well, that's good. Do you know how to play any of these instruments? No. Okay, what's interesting? But to actually see them put all that time in, the pianist play the piano, the violinist play the violin, the horn, the trumpet, they put a lot of time into learning that, and then you're putting it all together. That's more powerful to watch than just to look what I did on GarageBand. I made my own composition. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that the main reason for that is because you feel the energy that's being exchanged. It's a real-time, real life experience, and especially now with COVID disrupting our lives so much, where so many things became online and people got really tired of having to be in front of their screens and having to be able to talk to people like this. I really see a huge revival of house concerts back, just having people in your home, and then the music being there live. It's music only like in 1 meter or 2 meters distance, and really feeling that connection. I truly believe we're going back to that era, which is basically what happened in the time that Chopin lived and was. Um, it's very interesting, and I think that's also one of the main reasons why musicians will always be relevant, and why going to concerts will always be relevant. It was, we had a huge scare, so to say, when LPs and then CDs came out, because all of a sudden people could just listen to music any time, and that was Spotify and YouTube, of course, also. but people still go to concerts. Why? Because they want to feel that connection and they want to see or feel the energy being exchanged. And that's I don't think that's ever going to be replaced. But I can be wrong, of course. But
No, I think you're right. And I love it how also during COVID they did a lot of stuff online where you actually have, like, you would be one square in the video playing the piano and someone else would be playing
yeah,
guitar, and you have this whole like group song, and I'm like, this is, they
yes,
might not have met each other, or they might have
yeah,
something, and one might be in Japan, the other one might be in Germany, one might put them all together in one band, and it sounds amazing. I'd rather see
yeah,
that than someone hand me over an iPad to this composition I did it. It sounds good, it's good orchestra and everything, but can you play any of these instruments? But then here, guys, this was done on an iPad using GarageBand. There's a piano, there's a violinist, whatever on here. Can you play this so that eventually you can play that composition he did on GarageBand and play it in a full orchestra in real life, and you have that connection to people? Because then they have to put time and effort into learning what you did by simple press here, add here, change here, mix here. They have to go and say, okay, that's, and then they have to take each individual component, like the piano, and play that. And then you have to take the violin part and play that, and then put it all together. And then you have this beautiful orchestra, which was done just simply from an iPad. But that's what we have. That's the technology we have now. One day,
yeah.
yeah.
And in a way, I mean, of course, it also needs a lot of skill to be able to do that. I mean, you don't have to ask me to do anything like that, but the nice thing is that you can, learn it, and it's, in a way, it makes it a lot easier and a lot more accessible, which is also valuable. But I agree with you. I mean, I am a musician, so of course I live off of this. Being able to play and perform with people, for people, that's, it's what I do. And it's what I thoroughly love. And I hope to be able to do it for the rest of my life, and that's, that's what I feel like I'm here for. But also, yeah, all the technology, and like what you mentioned, all these collaborations that, worldwide collaborations of someone just having an idea, being like, okay, I want this arrangement. Maybe I can phone friends on the other side of the world, and we can make it work. That's also something that we never really had before, and it's one of the beautiful things that technology enabled us to do, which is, it can make beautiful things happen, and also, make it maybe a bit less interesting, but definitely not bad in a way.
Have you ever heard of the Piano Guys?
Yes, of
What do you
course.
think of them?
Well, they're very. I have to say, I'm like super fan of Set Violin. I find them hilarious and great. But and actually, now that I think about it, the duo Igudisman and Joe. Do you know them?
Who?
Igudisman and Joe, or Joe.
No.
It's they're a very funny duo, piano violin. And they are actually the board members of the school where I teach here, the international
Oh,
school,
wow.
the Amadeus International School. Yeah. And so I have known about them for a while. And then all of a sudden I saw their names on the, board members of the school where I'm currently teaching. I was like, holy, like kind of starstruck. And
That's
these people
nice.
are actually going to host there's going to be a gala concert, because the Amadeus International School is now up for 10 years, and there's going to be a gala concert, and these people are going to host it. So pretty amazing, it's the world is very, very small in music.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Do you ever play dueling pianos? Like you and another would just start playing the piano, and they would play a part, and the other one would play a part, or you just play in sync?
Sorry, I didn't fully understand.
So let's say the Bach one, the jazz Bach one that you played, I tell you, and someone else played that, and you're in
Yes.
sync. Have you ever done that?
No, I have
No?
never done that.
You prefer to play solo, I guess?
No. I have a duo with my partner, who's a clarinetist. So we play
I want to
chamber
ask
music,
you
of
about the
course.
Matthys duo
Yeah.
with
Yes.
Joseph Lamel. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
So he's American clarinetist. We met in Jacob School of Music in Vienna, and he came to Belgium and then also here in Vienna. He's in the room next door. But so we have our duo, and we're working on a bunch of different programs right now. We have set our portfolio, and we're now, getting our first concerts out. We have our debut here in Vienna, 30th of April. We're also playing in Belgium between the 22nd and the 24th. And now this week, April 9th, we're basically playing our first concert here in Austria. But this is a private event. It's a birthday concert for a family, and so we really tailored the program for them. But so we have a couple of YouTube videos up already, and we plan to do plenty more of those. And Joseph is an avid arranger, and he loves making arrangement from classical pieces that already exist, but for different instruments, and then he makes an arrangement for piano and clarinet. And that way, for clarinetists, it's very nice because they have a really lovely repertoire, but not all composers have written for clarinet. And so Joseph tries to enable some music from composers that have maybe written less for clarinet or even not at all for clarinet. And he wants to make it accessible for clarinetists. So that's kind of what we do. And since I have such a huge love for classic music and jazz, we also try to find these pieces that have a big affinity with those two genres. And that's actually one of the programs that's our debut program here at the end of April here in Vienna, where we play music by Gershwin, but also Stravinsky and Richard Ronnie Bennett, and it's all very much related to jazz harmonies or rhythms and still classical music. So it's very fun.
Well, what about? Do you know how to play Rachmaninoff and Prokofiev? And wow.
Oh, Rachmaninoff is like one of my favorite composers, next to Maurice Ravel.
I was going to ask you who your favorite composer is. I guess you just already gave us the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with Rachmaninoff, and I think he was the reason that I became a pianist. Also, of course, my mom was in it for a little bit, chasing me away from the violin.
Wow.
But I adore his music, and as a little side project, between the concerts that you have and the videos that you make and the teaching that you do, and the day gets filled pretty easily. But for my own little project, I'm now working on his preludes, the Opus 23. I'm learning them all, and the next one will be the Opus 32, and then his Etudes tableaux and everything.
Wow.
So yes, it's gorgeous music, and since he was such a fabulous pianist himself, you feel it when music is written by a pianist for a pianist. It just, even though his hands were huge, and I'm not very tall, I'm not very big, so my hands are definitely way smaller, but it still feels good to be playing his music. Whereas some other music, especially if it's written by non-pianists, it can be a bit awkward, so to say. But that's not, or at least not for me, the case with the music of Rachmaninoff or Ravel. Yeah, so much gorgeous music written, and only 24 hours in a day. I mean, what are we supposed to do?
Is there a particular piece that's difficult for you to play and manage?
Oh, plenty. Yeah, of course. And I mean, part of that is, of course, some of the hardest pieces written for piano, like Gaspard La Nuit by Ravel. It's notorious, but it's also so beautiful. And I've recorded the first movement, and I have worked on the second and the third. I just haven't really gotten the chance to perform it on a concert yet. But of course, it needs work, and it will always need work. But if something is difficult to play, it doesn't mean that you won't be able to play it. It's just a matter of putting in the work, seeing the patterns, and allowing yourself enough time to actually get through it. and you know, the reward is just being able to play this wonderful music, which is pretty nice in my opinion. But of course, yeah, there's plenty of work to do, and there
Do you
always will be.
do you prefer playing? Can you, like, I know you probably play the piano and sing, but do you prefer just playing the piano, or do you prefer just like you love singing, you love playing piano, but you prefer to play the piano and sing, or do you just prefer just to play the piano?
I I think I'm definitely a classical pianist, but I wouldn't consider myself a jazz pianist. And in that sense, if I am asked to perform a pure jazz program with singing, then I'd rather have a jazz pianist to support me.
Oh.
However, if it is, you know, pop music or lighter genre, I'm happy to accompany myself at the piano, and I've done a number of those concerts as well, where I basically just combine classical music and more lighter music, and it's so fun to do. Um, and I mean, some of those videos are also on my channel, where I perform Alicia Keys when I was still very young, but also some of the songs that my dad wrote and that I wrote lyrics to are also on the channel, and it's really nice to do, and I definitely plan on doing more of that. But I think in concerts, if it's a fully jazz program, then I'm a bit more comfortable with someone else accompanying or having, you know, a band, and then me just being able to sing. And when it's classical, I'm not a classical singer whatsoever. I would never dare to say anything in that matter. I'm definitely not, but I am a classical pianist, so I'm happy to accompany singers.
So let's say your dad, who's a pianist, you're a pianist, and then Joseph Lamel is a clarinetist, and then you got a drummer, all things that are needed for an orchestra. It's okay, we're going to be writing a composition, classical composition. What would be the first step that you would do?
To write our own
To write
composition,
your own composition, yeah.
first all would be having a good melody. It's like, you know, when you have when you're writing a story, you want to have a good storyline. So it's the same with music. Everything is conveyed by the melody. So you better have an earworm, or at least part of an earworm, right? I think that's where we would start. But as said, I'm not, or I don't consider myself in any way as good of a composer as my dad is. But we actually did a project like this for his 65th birthday last year. He arranged, you know, he is a composer, so he has, of course, all this music, and we did a whole concert with only his music.
Nice.
String orchestra, jazz trio, so drum, bass, piano, and soloists. And Joseph was one of the soloists. So we actually did a project like that, and it's also on YouTube and on my dad's website, of course. And yeah, how do you start writing a composition and making it for orchestra? I think that's it's a very individual process. But I do think that for most people, it just starts with the melody, and then you could also, of course, start from a text. Maybe if you want it to be with voice, it can start from a text, or it could start from a chord progression that you come up with, and then you build the melody out of that. But yeah, you need your first brick, and I think for most people that would be the melody, and then you put the chords under it, and then you orchestrate it, and then yeah, you tweak and you. Dad always says that, you know, you think a composition is finished, and then a couple of months later you hear it again, and you're like, I could have probably changed here or here. And I think, yeah, it's the same as a musician. You make a recording, you're happy about it, then a little bit later you're like, probably could have played that differently, and you will, and that's also the fun.
Well, what about the old composers who are now dead, of course? They have the unfinished symphonies.
Yeah.
Did any of them actually finish these symphonies, or they just play it as it is?
Well, sometimes there were students of those composers who finished them, like for Bruckner, there were some of his students who finished. his symphonies. The Mozart Requiem is finished by another composer, because Mozart died before he could finish it. Sometimes it's just really an unfinished piece, like the Unfinished by Schubert.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's, since they were such fabulous composers, they were just so good at their craft. It still works somehow. And
Yes,
of course, it
yeah.
kind of depends on how far they got. But yeah, it's a case thing.
Like if Schubert could finish that symphony, you have someone who's finishing it for you in this day and age. Like, how do you know that that's what Schubert intended for it to be ended?
You don't.
So that's why it's better that unfinished symphonies are left the way they are, because they're quite good, actually.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I think that's the main question, and I think you can argue both sides. In any case, I think the main part is that they are performed and that they get to the audience. And if that means that someone needed to finish it, then okay. And if it means that they could leave it because there was enough material, then also just fine.
Do you also play like cover songs like Elton John, Billy Joel?
Yeah, we're working on some new videos for YouTube, and one of them is Your Song by Elton John.
I can't wait to hear that one.
We're also,
awesome.
Yeah, me too. I'm also very curious to hear it.
Yeah, there's some really good songs from Billy Joel that could
yes, absolutely.
a few of them. Absolutely. Did you know that he wrote an entire classical album called Fantasia? Did you know that he actually wrote classical pieces and released the album?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he did a classical CD, he did music. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Fantasia, I believe it is. Yeah.
Wonderful. Really, I'll look it up.
You listen to them, you're thinking they were done like by Schubert but he's had over 60 years of raw talent and piano and singing, and he was so good, and even nowadays. And but yeah, he wrote a whole album called, I think it's called Fantasia, but it's a whole thing of compositions like sonatas and stuff. It's very beautiful.
This reminds me of, let me just find the name.
Yeah.
There's this actor, Dudley Moore. That's his name. So he's an actor, but he's also a pianist.
That's right. Yeah.
And he has really lovely albums that are like very jazz inspired, and also with his own compositions. And I mean, these people, they're just so mighty talented.
I know, multi-talented. So many celebrities that have hidden talents, like singing and playing. I think there's one that can play the violin. There's a few that can play the piano. Dudley Moore, I'm sort of, he's died now, but before we get some questions here, other questions from the audience, why don't we? Do you know who Martha Argerich is?
Yes, absolutely. She's a great Argentinian pianist who lives in Belgium.
Okay, so complete this name. Sergei.
Well, you have many. I would say Rachmaninoff, obviously, but
Sergei starts with R.
And it starts with R.
Sergei
Rachmaninoff, I would still say, but
Rachmaninoff. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay.
Frederick
Chopin.
Ludwig. Oh, that's an easy one. Ludwig van Beethoven. Franz
Schubert. Liszt.
Oh, wow. Vladimir
Horowitz.
Wow, you know them all. And one we mentioned before with Glenn Gould. Arthur
Rubinstein.
Yeah, well, you're good. Here's one. Claudio
Arrau.
How did you?
I mean, it's my profession.
Wow. How about Sviatslav?
Richter.
Yeah. Mira.
I know him. I know him. Yes, you stumped me. I knew it just had to happen. It's so odd. That's why I'm so bad at quizzes, because then
Mila Hess.
Yes.
Daniel
Barenboim.
I got Murray
Murray. I know him too. Oh my God. The first letter?
Murray Parahaya.
Baraya. Yes, of course. He had a terrible scare with his hand. Just from a paper cut. And he couldn't play for the longest time. He had to do all these surgeries, and it was really scary. He thought he could never play before, but thankfully.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I don't think there can be anything more scary as a pianist than someone having to tamper with your hands.
I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named David Kemp, but he was in World War II and he had his fingers blown off. And he ended up with only like 2 fingers and then a fist with a thumb. And he was a well-known pianist. He could play the piano with just his fists. It's incredible.
Hold on. There's a very important view concerto for the left hand. Hold on. Like Prokofiev wrote a concerto for the left hand. Ravel wrote a concerto for the left hand, and it was for also a pianist, Wittgenstein, indeed, Paul Wittgenstein, who was in the war and who lost his right hand, and he was thankfully very wealthy and could ask all these fabulous composers of the last century to write concertos for him for the left hand.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
And people who can. There's a German lady. She was born without arms. She plays piano with her feet.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing what your neurological system.
It's incredible.
Can accomplish. Yeah.
Let's give you 2 more here, and then we'll go into questions here. Clara.
Schumann.
Right. Helen.
Grimaud.
That's incredible because she's not even Dutch. She's French, and she lives just
and she has a great affiliation with wolves.
Here's a hard one. Vladimir
Horowitz, but I already said him, right?
No, this is a different one.
Yeah.
Stumped you. Vladimir Ashkenazi.
Yeah, of course. Of course, yes.
And one more. Jean-Yves
Thibaudet.
I'm not giving you any more. This is incredible.
He was the one who do you know the movie Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley? He was the one who played in the score.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's Jean-Yves Thibaudet that you're hearing on the soundtrack.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. So describe the best performance you have ever given.
Oh my God.
Was this a drop the mic moment?
I guess this question really stumped me. Oh, but that's a okay. Best performance I've ever given. Let's say the variable in that is the feeling I had when I came off stage. You know, because it can be a really good performance, but then still as a musician, you feel like, oh, here I could have done this or that, and you know the audience doesn't really notice. I think one of the best performances I had was when I performed Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on the theme of Paganini in a hall in a small town in Belgium, in Roeselare. This was a program I had lobbied for a long time to be able to find a conductor who was willing to play with, a pianist that is quite young and not really well known yet. And then, you have to book the hall. You have to make sure that there's enough money to pay over all these people. And I was very fortunate to be able to play with a young symphonic orchestra, all these young, super, involved people. It was a really fun, just a fun experience also to work with these people. And the conductor here, Tsunen, he was my solfège teacher or professor at the university in Ghent. And he conducts, and so he was willing to do so. And we played that in the Spil in Roeselare, and it was a magical experience. Because also I said Rachmaninoff is one of my favorite composers. This is one of his fabulous, concertos. It's not one of his 4, but the Rhapsody is very well known. And I got to play it with orchestra as
wow.
a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, which is I was really fortunate and very happy about that. Yeah,
that's amazing. How do you cope when dealing with a disinterested or disrespectful audience?
That's, of course, something that you would, not want to encounter. I think the best way is that you're duteous towards the music as a musician. So what you try to do is convey it the best way that you can. If hopefully, if people are receptive enough, they can feel the demand of energy, and they will, quiet down, or maybe hopefully stop coughing or whatever it is that's disturbing you. If not, then I do think that and it also kind of depends on the venue. If your background performer, then okay, yeah, you probably will have people talking. If not, if this is actually a concert, then I think you're very much entitled to say between the pieces, kind of announce it, and in maybe in very diplomatic terms to try and get their attention back to the music. But that's a hard line to walk. So tread carefully.
Well, maybe if you dress up like a clown or something, and then you're playing, you look.
Yeah. You could also, of course, go take it from the fun side. But I'm not that funny, so I wouldn't know how to get. At least not on stage. I have humor that not many people enjoy very much. I'm the one that really cracks up with America's Funniest Home Videos or so. So I'm not. I don't think my humor is suited for this situation in a way.
I can make you laugh right now.
Yeah.
What was Beethoven doing the last 200 years?
What was he doing the last 200 years?
Decomposing.
Oh.
Oh
no. Yep. Nice.
Okay, so now you're talking about disrespectful audience. Describe a time when you worked with a difficult musician.
Did I work with a difficult musician? I think I've been pretty fortunate in the collaborations that I had so far. I think maybe the most difficult situation is when you try to make these videos online, and indeed you are you are in one country and the other one is somewhere else, and you have the deadline, but the other person does not really have the deadline, and that's a not so nice situation. But if you know the person well enough, then you can be a bit less diplomatic about it, or you can be very diplomatic about it. Otherwise, I've been very fortunate with the people that I've been working with. They were all really invested in music, or maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe the hardest ones were, in the beginning in the conservatory, in the in college, in music school, because not everyone maybe is as involved as you are, and that is hard to then because you show up on a rehearsal and you are prepared, and that the other person isn't, and that is not a nice feeling. And it can happen once, but if it keeps happening, that is not nice at all. So probably that.
Okay, that's a good answer. So how do you cope with long rehearsal hours?
You make sure that the little breaks in between are actual breaks. And that can be, it can only be maybe 2 minutes or so that you just go get some water and go back. It also really depends on the room. If the room is very dry and there's not a lot of fresh air or anything, you better get out and have some fresh air, move a little if you can. Other than that, it's very much dependent on the way you practice as well. It's that endurance, that stamina that you need to practice, or that you need to incorporate in your practice, and then it gets easier. But I was never one of those pianists that had to work with people for like 10 hours a day, and there are people who do that, and I can only bow to them. I have tremendous respect for those people.
Well, that's That's a great answer. But so, and another one is, what is it? What do you like anything else? Like, do you have any hobbies besides music? What do you like to do?
Oh, plenty. I really like getting out of my comfort zone. And thanks to Joseph, the clarinetist, I kind of got into gaming. I'm the worst gamer on the planet, but I really like, you know, getting my first steps into gaming. I also really love food, so I really like cooking. Whenever I have the time, I sometimes write little stories or draw, but I'm also not very good at that. That's really just for me, and yeah, maybe it's also, I think my main problem is that I always get these products, and that leaves me with little free time, so to say. So that when I then finally have some free time, I can really indulge in it, but it doesn't happen very often. But yeah, I think like gaming very sporadically, cooking a lot, because also, I mean, you need it
You
to
want
survive anyway.
to,
Yes.
you want a good game to keep your time good? It says Detroit Become Human. That's a good game.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm now like very much into Civilization 6.
Oh, okay.
I know it's an oldie, but it's nice. You know, no one is shooting at you, and you don't need to survive or anything. You just have these
Well,
towns to
Detroit
build.
Become Human is taken 2038, where the world is taken over, not taken over, but you can get the maids, the servants, police, whatever, all androids. And you can become one of two androids, or you can become three, actually. You can become Kara, you can become Connor, or you can become one or two of the others, depending what scenes you're in. It's a
Okay.
really good game. It's so well done. I love it. And I saw the behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
it's incredible. Um,
I really like to when we have lunch or dinner or anything to watch gamers play their game, because they can actually do it, and so you know it's kind of inspiring also. And right now we are following the YouTube streamer Day9, who is playing Elden Ring,
oh,
which is highly entertaining. But that would be a game that I never in my life will I ever aspire or try to play. That it's way too on edge. I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I would totally not sleep if I play that game. So
well, I like games that give you alternatives. So if you make one move, you can actually go another scene. So Detroit
yeah,
Become Human, if you make one mistake with a choice, it gives you choices, and if you
yeah,
choose that choice, it takes you in another path to the point where you're like, oh, then you have to follow it through. You become the character, and then you die, and then you have to
yeah,
go back and you have to make the other choice, and then you get where you want to go, and then you have other choices. So that, like, they really thought of everything on this game. And another one is The Last of Us, which is where the world's taken over by the cordyceps, and that's just too much. It's just too much. So I prefer
mm,
something as like Detroit Become Human.
yeah.
So yeah, here. Who's your ideal musician to collaborate with, and why?
I would be stoked to ever be able to work with Jacob Collier. He's a British musician, an all-round musician. Truly, he sings, he plays bass, he plays piano, he plays guitars, mandolins, percussion, anything. He is one of Quincy Jones's prodigies. He writes the most insane arrangements,
Wow.
and I saw him live in Brussels a couple of years ago, and this is like one bolt of energy. And I think it must be, I can totally imagine how his brain never stops. And what he does is really is amazing. It's so musically, yeah, tremendously built. He finds music in anything. And he has collaborated with many people before, Jamie Cullum as well, Becca Stevens, with Take Six as well, if I remember correctly, and with the Metropole Orchestra. And oh my God, if I could ever have an opportunity to work with this guy, I would be like, ah, and at the same time also, ah, because I would feel probably inferior. to his levels go. But if there's one thing that you should try and do as a musician, it's work with people who are better than you. And if I can choose one, it will be him. And then as for classical musicians, I mean, I wouldn't say no to a concert with Martha Argerich, or with Katia Buniatishvili, or sign me up.
For me, it would be Josh Groban, doing a duet with Josh Groban.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult for me to actually sing a duet with someone who's actually playing an instrument. I prefer them being either they're sopranos or tenors, whatever. I try to make my voice work with them.
Yeah.
But if someone said, okay, I got a violin here, I'm going to play this, I have to think, okay, I tried that. I tried to sing along violinists and pianists, and I like it where my voice would match their voice till you get like harmonics. Yeah. And then once they settle out to, okay, then you can pick up your violin, or then you can start playing the piano. You sing, our voices match, perfect harmony. Now you play the piano, and then I'll try to sing, and I'll try to. So I like those kind of compositions, those kind of arrangements. Okay, wow, it's already been an hour and 30 minutes. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're so easy to talk to.
Well, thank you very much. I know there's another 4 hours we can spend with you, and we haven't even grasped. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. There's actually, you ever seen that video of this pianist? And what he did is he took all the hammers inside the piano, removed them, and put in actual hammers. And then,
no, I've never seen that.
Yeah, and then he called different pianists to come to his house and say, well, there's this problem with my piano. It doesn't sound right. Obviously, because he replaced everything with hammers. And they started playing the piano, and they couldn't notice anything different. They were the top of the line pianists. And all these, they came in, and only one person out of the 5 pianists, famous pianists, said, this may be a problem with this key here, but apart from that, sounds good. And eventually he had to reveal, I took all the hammers out and put in real hammers. And many of them said they couldn't even tell whether it was a wooden hammer or the actual real hammer using the strings. It was an amazing video.
Wow.
The guy spent a long time just removing all the hammers and putting in real hammers, and then calling these famous pianists, and they couldn't even figure it out. So I think that was amazing.
It's I think also not really out of the blue, because as a pianist, you really, I said the amount of repertoire that you do, it's more than what you can do in a lifetime. And also me, I'm very guilty of knowing very little of the history of the piano or how it's built or what, and I should just look it up and not be lazy about it. But having this person, it must also have been so hard to find hammers that kind of resemble the weight of a normal wooden hammer. That must have been quite the project. But I can imagine that if the weight feels similar, that it can, because that's what you do as a pianist, right? You try to get your way of playing so that you can make all the colors that you want to make on this instrument. And as a pianist, you're very used to adapting to the instrument that's in front of you. So I can see how it's easy to miss as a pianist, but probably if this dude had invited an actual instrument builder or a piano builder, they would like.
It was incredible. They couldn't figure it out. And if you ever looked, have you ever looked actually inside a piano with the hammers and you see the strings in there?
Yes.
Doesn't the hammers and the strings, doesn't it remind you of kind of like a dulcimer? You ever seen a dulcimer?
No, I haven't.
Okay, we're going to have a very professional dulcimer player. His name is Ted Yoder. He'll be on in about a couple months. And what the dulcimer is, it's like taking the inside of a piano and plopping it down, and it's sort of like it's got this kind of triangular shape, and it's got strings, and then you're using what is kind of like, imagine taking 2 of the hammers from the piano.
Yes. It's a little bit like a cymbalum as well.
It makes, and there's this guy named Joshua Messick, and he plays classical pieces like you, but he plays them on the dulcimer. It's amazing. Ted Yoder is amazing. He'll take like a Tears for Fears song, and he played it with dulcimer. Everybody wants to rule the world. He had like over hundreds of millions of views.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
And yeah, but the dulcimer, there's a lot of people play the dulcimer, and I only know Ted Yoder and Joshua Messick, but I'm not sure being able to play the dulcimer, you'll be able to play the piano, because it's a totally different thing hitting keys than it is to striking the strings.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why piano's part of the stringed instrument, even though the keys, because it's inside the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, the dulcimer, and just you should look him up, Joshua Messick.
Yeah, I will.
And Ted Yoder as well. They play really, really extensive dulcimers. Yeah. Okay, so let's ask you two more questions. Are there any musicians that inspire you?
Plenty. I said Jacob Collier is definitely one of them. Let's go lighter music and then classical music. Jamie Cullum is definitely one of them. So they both play piano and sing, and then Jacob did all these extra instruments. And Jamie Cullum was, for me, like one of the first pianists and singers that I encountered who also, you know, did percussion on his piano and wrote arrangements and all that stuff. And yeah, similar to Jacob Collier, just like such a bolt of energy when he's on stage, and has such a good connection with the audience, which is really great. As for classical musicians, I mean, if I have to go to the classics, I would say Vladimir Horowitz, the way he plays the piano. I mean, it's a reason he's such a giant.
Yes.
You know? The way he plays repetitive octaves, that's like just, I can only dream of that amount of flexibility and speed. And, you know, of course, he had a rather big hand and very slender fingers, but he had such an incredible technique. That's, yeah, it's so inspiring to see. And nowadays with the internet, you can just watch all those things anytime you want, and it's really great. Yeah. I was at a masterclass, the Piano Fest masterclass in Belgium earlier in March, where I helped organize. So I used to do this masterclass in 2017. I was one of the participants. This edition, I was the one who was scheduling for all the participants. And, you know, the people that came, one of them was Boris Bergman, who is an amazing Russian pianist as well. He then also went to Israel now. He's been in the US for a long time. And he wrote like an educational book, basically notes from the pianist's bench, which, I mean, he's also such an interesting and truly magnificent musician. I mean, there are, I'd say, musicians that, you know, have the magical touch to be able to connect with an audience.
Yes.
Almost just the minute they step on stage, basically. I adore those people, and there are plenty of those. But maybe, yeah, the most important one I'd say for classical music was Arkady Volodos. He was the one who also got me into loving Rachmaninoff's music so much. And yeah, he was always, his CDs were always on at my grandparents' house, and so yeah, probably he is definitely one of the most important musicians for me.
So you like a lot of genres. You must have a Spotify playlist containing different genres like jazz and pop.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of music, but I'm not as much of a geek as my sister is. My oldest sister, she's not a professional musician, but she's always the one finding new bands and new genres and new musicians, and then she lets us know, and then we're like, oh my god, these people are crazy, and you know, we get into them. So yeah, it's kind of funny because as a musician, you know, you're also just spending so much time behind the instrument that it's very easy to miss what's out there. But you know, one of the bands that I really enjoy listening to is oh my god, and their name, I just had their name in my head, and now it just escaped me. It's and I'm on my wrong. They're from LA. They are, oh my God. I cannot believe, I cannot. Hold on. I have to,
Yeah.
oh my God. This is so bad. I just listened to them yesterday and I really adore their music. And I
While you're
don't.
looking, I was thinking Burt Bacharach is another one.
Oh yes. Oh, and he's also one of those composers where or songwriters that you hear a song and you don't know that it's his.
Yeah.
And yes, and his lyricist Hal David. Oh my God, the most beautiful, gorgeous words.
Yeah,
Um,
he did a really wonderful version of God Give Me Strength with my favorite Elvis Costello.
yeah.
They did an
Oh,
album
so
together,
nice.
actually. It's really good. So you said you like Jamie Cullum, right?
Yes, I really do. I really do.
Would that be easy to play?
I mean, you'd have to practice, but yeah, it's definitely doable.
But it's a good song.
Oh yeah, it's
I love a
great.
lot of his music.
And that's
It's
one of
really
his of one of his earliest albums, right?
Yeah. And I want while you're looking for your thing, there's one more song here by Jamie Cullum. You have to hear. Um, did you find out the name of that yet?
No, and it's my brain just doesn't want to come to it because I keep talking to you, and so it's just glitching
Okay.
so badly.
We'll play this one, and then I'll give you a chance to search. But what do you think of this one?
Yes, that's Photograph. That's one of my favorites of him.
My favorite too. I like the chorus where it just starts doing the power part. It's like I love the song. It's a great song.
Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So did you figure out
Moonchild? Moonchild. Oh my God, I knew it was something.
I never heard of Moonchild.
Oh, it's really, really nice. Yeah, there are three musicians, 2 guys and a girl, and they make such nice laid back jazz influence, but also like R&B soul kind of.
That's awesome.
Music. They have an NPR concert as well. Yeah, really like check them out. They're very nice. I think. Oh my God, I can't believe it took me so long to get to their name.
Oh, my favorite musician is what?
Yeah. Oh my God, I was like, this is quite embarrassing. So I apologize if any of the Moonchild people are watching, which I doubt they do. But if they do, I'm so sorry that it took me so long.
That's fine. Well, here's my playlist contains I don't know if you're familiar with Charles Billingsley. He's a good pianist. Another one is okay. Those are violinists. So hard here. Oh, Andrew Lloyd Webber, actually. Yeah, he does a lot of good compositions using piano as well. Just to tell you the truth, I really like pianists, and I like you, obviously.
That's great. Thanks so much.
So I'll make sure that everyone hit this subscribe button for more content, to subscribe to this channel. You get more wonderful musicians like Nathalie Matthys. Nathalie Matthys. And listen to her down below in the description. And that's not all the music that I have of her. There's just got a whole bunch. I just gave like the best 6 or 7. And go to her website too. And she's excellent and special, and obviously so Moonchild. Yeah, a lot of pianos in that one, eh?
Well, it's a whole. There's horns, there's singing, there's piano, of course, involved as well. But they just produce everything themselves, and they play different instruments, all of them, and then they make this band. And
that's excellent.
Yeah, they write their own songs, and it's music that I very much vibe to.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you very much for saying that.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
You're very welcome.
This is fabulous.
And we're going to close the stream, but I'm going to ask you one question. How do your fingers feel after you do remarkable Bach concerto playing? Like
totally fine.
No pain or anything?
No. By all means, it should never hurt.
Wow.
Never, ever. You should also not feel tired ever in your arms when you play piano. It's all about freeing up this. You gotta have your knuckles apparent. If you play like this, then yes, you're gonna have a very tough time. Don't do that.
So talking about tired, so is that why these famous pianists, when they play, they go like? Is that why?
I think that's also a bit part of the show, which is not necessarily needed. But
no, not falling asleep or anything.
No.
Cool.
It's all about staying loose and staying relaxed as much as you can, and the impacts. Yeah, just remember, you never, ever need force to play piano. Never. And
I'm actually saddened that we have to say goodbye, because I could talk to you for 4, 5, 6 hours and not even scrape the surface of Nathalie Matthys.
That just means you'll have to invite me again.
I will. I'm thinking of inviting you again. Yes, and you also have my email. We can chat with that if you want.
Yeah, happy to.
Thank you very much.
This was really,
I want to see more
really
videos as well.
Yes,
I want to see your song by.
Yes, they're coming. They're in the make. Elias, the pianist that I'm working with, already sent me his part, and now I just need to do the vocals, and then the drummer needs to do his part, and it's just making the video. So in 2 weeks, I'll have, I can dedicate my time towards that. So I'm very, very excited for it too.
I like to. I don't know if you take requests from people, but I have a request I want you to do.
Okay.
And a few friends, actually one special friend, they like Billy Joel, but they like this one song, and I love the video. Check him out. Type in Billy Joel, "The Night Is Still Young."
Yes. Oh, that's a gorgeous song.
Yeah, if you can learn to do that one.
Okay.
But I love that video. I love that song. And I love the scenes that happen in the video with the guy dropping his hat and going back for it and going to his wife, and then she's like clicks the lighter and goes like this, and then they kiss. It's an excellent video, but it's an excellent song. The Night Is Still Young, and you can look up also. Like I'm not going to put you too much through it, but yeah, do The Night Is Still Young. I'd love to see that version done.
Yeah, I just need to dive into Billy Joel more.
I'm not going to write down a list and email the 100 things I want you to learn. Yeah. We can learn The Night Is Still Young and sing it.
Yeah.
I'll be very happy.
Okay.
Excellent.
Will do.
Thank you, Nathalie. I really appreciate that. Okay, everyone, there's Nathalie Matthys. She's about to go into Berlin, Oblivion. Sorry, not Berlin. Is it Berlin?
Vienna. It's Vienna.
About to go into, sorry, why did I say Berlin? Oh my goodness.
Oh, Berlin is a pretty nice city too, and also very
Vienna waits for you. Ding,
yes,
ding,
exactly.
Ding, ding. That's a good song too. You should learn that.
Yes, it couldn't be more perfect, right?
Yeah, The Night Is Still Young by Billy Joel and Vienna. Yes, 2 Billy Joel songs. Yay! Natalie's going to do them for me, everyone.
Yes. Okay.
An excellent. Really enjoyable to talk to you. Thank you for taking this much time. I'm sorry for keeping you, but
oh no, this was really my pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out and
you're very welcome, Nathalie. I really appreciate that.
It was great.
So we're gonna say goodbye, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put up the thanks for watching, and then we're done.
Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you, Nathalie. Can't wait for those songs, and I'll be checking you out and stalking your profiles and everything.
Great.
Okay,
sounds
good.
great. Bye bye.
Bye bye.